Today we have a very special guest joining us today. He's the former Ancient Aliens TV host for Tucson, Arizona, as well as the leading UFO investigator in Phoenix, Arizona. He runs a Facebook Live show called Petroglyphs in the Sky. I would call him the king of the petroglyphs and one of the best UFO hunters in the United States.
Jeff Woolwine, the first person to do this.
Please give a nice insertion welcome, Jeff Woolwine.
Thank you, and thank you. Welcome back to the Petroglyphs in the Sky UFO show. I am your host, Jeff Woolwine. Hey, what is going on with you guys tonight? Man, do we have a great show for you tonight. We're going to talk about the Skinwalker Ranch. I'm going to show some petroglyphs out there that is not too far away. There is no petroglyphs on the Skinwalker Ranch, but we're going to explain, we're going to learn to find out the reasons why the Skinwalker Ranch has UFO sightings there. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about this one UFO sighting that I thought was pretty cool. Those of you who have been following my group page, Petroglyphs in the Sky, my wife Pam has already posted the video up there. You can go check it out. It's like this tube, and it's really interesting. It's got like these lights on it, and so it's really cool. We're going to take a look at that, and we're also going to show this entity UFO that I filmed in 2005 that actually shows this thing come down out of the sky and it actually goes in South Mountain, then comes back out of South Mountain, then goes back in, and then comes back out, and then goes up into the sky. So yeah, that was really fascinating, and I was probably the first one ever. I'm not sure in the world, but I'm sure in the United States to actually capture this in 2005 of these entities actually going in a mountain. So this is just one of the sightings that I'll be showing and talking about today as far as these entity UFOs. So let's get on with the show. So first of all, I'd like to get into these sponsors. And first, I'd like to say, make sure that you go off there and you pick up my book, The Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky, Landscape for the Spirits, True Stories, Myths, Legends, and UFOs over Phoenix, Volume 1. Now, this story right here talks about the lost history of Phoenix, Arizona. It explains on what the petroglyphs are talking about. It explains the true meaning of the petroglyphs. It takes the reader on a magical story journey in time, and it goes back and it talks about where Phoenix got its name from, how the Hohokam Indians came into this first valley, what happened to the Hohokam Indians, because we don't know what happened to them. They were here for 1,000 years and all of a sudden they disappeared with no trace. So this explains on what happened to the Indians. It talks about the giants, how the giants were here in the Valley of the Sun, Phoenix, Arizona. I mean, that's why they call it Phoenix, right? The land of the Phoenicians and the giants. Hey, I'm telling you, Phoenix has got it also. And also we're going to be talking about, excuse me, I got distracted. So yeah, the book actually goes in to the history of Phoenix, Arizona. It talks about the petroglyphs, talks about what these UFOs and these things that we see in the skies today, and it's more importantly, what the Phoenix Lights is all about, okay, and what they really are, and a lot of people reported in craft and things like this, but the more and more I watched them, the more and more I studied them over the last 20 years and actually seeing these things on a regular basis, I can tell you that these things are not crafts, but they're living entities. They're living beings. Each light, you see 5 lights out there. You're looking at a spiritual being, if you will, another life form. So yeah, all of that's in my book. Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs of the Sky, Landscape for the Spirits, True Stories, Myths, Legends, and UFOs over Phoenix, Volume 1. So make sure you go check that out. You can find it on my website, petroglyphsinthesky.net. You can find me on my YouTube channel, Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky, and all those videos there. There's links on the bottom. Click down for the description of the videos. You can find links to my website. You can find links to eBay, Barnes & Noble, and things like that on where to get your copy today. Make sure that you grab your copy and find out exactly what is going on. Now, all this history that I've dug up over the last 20 years on the Phoenix Lights and the history of Phoenix, Arizona, this was all verified in the Phoenix Library, downtown Phoenix Library, in some folders that has been buried for 80 years. I uncovered this information. This information has not been told to the public in 80 years. So I verified this information not only in the library, and it talks about the first park ranger of South Mountain, but also the petroglyphs, what the Indians say about it, and what everything is all to do as far as there's tombs out there, man. There's Mayan tombs. Now, you're not going to hear this anywhere else. This is the only place where you're going to find this information out. And this was all verified from the petroglyph hiking that I've done out there, all the exploring I've done out there, and verifying in the Phoenix Library. So, yeah. So, if you're into ghosts, I do some ghost hunting every once in a while. I want you to go out there and check out paranormal electronics. Okay, go out there and check them out for all your UFO needs and devices and things like that. Paranormal electronics, quality products at affordable prices. And yes, I have bought a device from these guys, and I'm still waiting on it. And so, yeah, whenever it gets here, we're going to go on a major ghost hunt, man. It's going to be great. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag just yet. But, yeah, look for that very, very soon. Give a shout out to Cyber Scams of Australia. and they created the link to my website. If the p9hosting.prod.com /@petroglyphsinthesky.com / to my website is too much for you, it is for me. You can hit that link down below at petroglyphsinthesky.net and just type those letters in. It'll bring you right to my website. So yeah, thanks guys for helping me out on that. Okay, so let's get into it. So we're going to talk about Skinwalker Ranch. Now, there is no petroglyphs on that area right there, but there are petroglyphs like on the existing canyons out there. And what I've learned is each canyon, especially when it has spirals on it. Now we're going to go into these spirals, and those of you who have watched my show understand what these are. And those of you who have, this is the first time, to my show, spirals are these doorways. So you see a spiral, right? And it's going clockwise. Okay, so that's a doorway in. And when you see a spiral going counterclockwise, that's a doorway out. Now, when the Native American shaman was teaching me all of this out there in Phoenix, Arizona on South Mountain, he was telling me that these are doorways for the spirits. Now, he's not saying crafts. He's not saying little green guys. He's saying spirits, man. He's saying, entities, and that's, I believe, is what we're dealing with in the skies today. We see lights out there. It's not a craft, but a living being. It's a living entity. Okay, and these beings has the capabilities of going inside these mountains with energy spots. All right, now these mountains, especially around the Valley of the Sun, Phoenix, Arizona, was created by fault lines, especially South Mountain, formerly known as Mount Sepoa, Mountain of Mercy. Okay, so this mountain was created by a fault line. All right, so when you see these doorways, and now the Native Americans will say they're going into the underworld. All right, they're going into the underworld. They're halfway in our world, halfway out of our world. They're going into the underworld. Okay, and that's what the Mayans say, that they're going into the underworld. Well, when you look at it in a scientific way of understanding what's really going on with this, you'll learn that these fault lines generate energy. Now, you can check out some of these past shows when I talk about these energies and the spirals and the fault lines. And when these fault lines, because it has everything to do with the sun. When the sun aligns with these fault lines, with these natural energy spots around the earth, in the changing of the seasons, when the sun aligns itself with these fault lines, it opens up the doorways. It opens up these spirals, right? And it attracts these entities to these spots around the earth. And what are they doing? They're absorbing energy, dude. This is the reason why the Phoenix lights, they're red, they're orange amber lights, right? When you're looking at them, they look like plasma spheres, okay? Like a type of energy, right? And that's exactly what's going on. In 2004, I videotaped these Phoenix lights on the east side of South Mountain. Now, on that site, they were attracted to a power plant that's out there, okay? A major power plant that's bored down into this fault line of South Mountain, okay? And so whenever they generated that electricity, whenever they turned on that power, those entities, those Phoenix lights was attracted to that area right there. It was like an intergalactic gas station, if you will, right? These things are right over that power plant. Man, I must have got over 100 sightings that whole summer of 2004, man. Those things are right over that power plant on the east side of South Mountain. And they're absorbing energy, dude. They're absorbing energy. And so I got a lot of people asking me, well, why do these crafts have lights on them? Do they need these lights to see where they're going in space? Why do they have headlights on it? Man, that has nothing to do with it, dude. It's not lights at all. It's like look at the firefly, for instance, okay? Look at the lightning bug, right? So they are equipped, all right? It's just them. This is what they do. They light up, man. That's exactly what these lights do. This is them, okay? And the reason why they're lighting up so much is because they're absorbing that energy. Okay, that is the secret that I believe when we see these lights in the sky. They're absorbing the energy, right? They're generating that energy. Okay, so when they follow the seasons, when they track the sun, they follow the seasons, and so they show up. Like they'll be in Phoenix, Arizona for like that summer, and then after the equinox or after the summer solstice, they're gone and they went somewhere else, and then they will return after the equinox and after the solstice. Now, right now we're at a dead point. Okay, we're at a dead point right now because why? We're getting ready to enter. We're at the month of the summer solstice. Okay, so I'm not seeing anything. A lot of these other sky watchers aren't seeing anything. Why? It's because they're kind of gone right now. Right, the sun is getting ready to be aligned with these fault lines again. Now, after this summer solstice, the 22nd, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, around in that area, that's when these things will start to come back. Okay, so a lot of sky watchers are emailing me, dude, how come I'm not seeing anything? Well, this is the reason why. Because they're following the energy patterns. They're following the seasons. Right now, we're at a dead point. We're at a dead standstill here with these things in the sky. But after this summer solstice, you will start seeing them again. So when it comes to being in mind, all that being said, I'm leading up to these to the Skywalker Ranch out there, all right, because there's a fault line. There's a major fault line, a major entity source. Okay, and this is the reason why these entity lights are attracted to this area in certain times of the seasons. All right, so in my past show, I talked about season 1, episode 4. Where Skinwalker Ranch were lighting these rockets up and testing the energies up there above the ground. They're testing the energy, and sure enough, there was this entity light up there. There was a light absorbing the energy just at the time when the cameras were there and the rockets were going up. So they verified what I've been saying ever since 2005, where these things are here for the energy. Now, the people on Skinwalker Ranch, they're saying, oh, it's a craft, and I wonder if it's producing the energy, and that's the reason why we're getting the energy readings on our rockets. No, that has nothing to do with it, all right? Those lights, that thing in the sky, is there because of the light or because of the energy, okay? It's not producing energy. It's there for the energy, all right? And they're saying, oh, it's a craft. No, it is not a craft. All right, it's a living being. It's a living entity. And how did I learn this? By watching these things, man. Watching these things on a regular basis, year after year after year, over there by South Mountain, and understanding that these things aren't crafts, man. They're living beings. They're living entities. And when a Native American shaman was teaching me all this, he's saying, man, he's going into the underworld. Well, at the time, I'm thinking, how can a big, UFO spaceship get into because they're saying that there's a crack right there for the spirals, and that's where the doorway is, and I'm thinking, well, how the hell is a big spaceship going to get into that little crack right there? Until I realized what the hell he was talking about, and it wasn't spaceships at all. It was like this type of entity, a type of spirit, okay? They just come over that energy source there. They come over to that doorway, and they absolve themselves into the rock. They're there 1 minute, and they're gone the next, man. Sounds crazy, but I verified this. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I videotaped it. We're going to see that video later on in the show. So, yeah, that's basically what's going on, man. They're after the energy. So let's look at this. These Google Earth here. Let's take a look at this one. Over here on the right. Let's start with this one. Okay, so there's the Skinwalker Ranch. Okay, and there's the fault line. This red mark here, that is the major fault line. All right, this is what these things are attractive to, and it's right there next to the Skinwalker Ranch. All right, so there could be energy spots over there because we're going to talk about these canyons, because a lot of these canyons, there's like little major fault lines there. And this is where we find, a lot of petroglyphs on these canyons that have fault lines, and there's a lot of spirals, and there's a lot of petroglyphs there. And so, yeah, let's look at this line here. This is the major fault line, all right, that is right next to Skinwalker Ranch, okay? And this is what these entities are going after. Now, when we come over here and we look at where all these petroglyph sites are. Let's get this a little bit bigger. So Skinwalker Ranch is right there in the middle. Okay, and we're going to be showing the Fremont petroglyphs because that's the closest one, pretty much closest to the Skinwalker Ranch. All right, we have the Fremont petroglyphs, the Shelter petroglyphs, the McConchy Ranch petroglyphs. We have over here the ancient Fremont rock art. Okay, we have the Buckran Wash petroglyph panel. We have the canyon rock art there, another petroglyph canyon. Okay, so and look at this, and look, it's all, and Skinwalker Ranch is pretty much in the middle, right? You see that? Skinwalker Ranch is kind of like in the middle. Now, if you look where these glyphs are, so look at the ancient Fremont Park, the 9 Mile Canyon. Okay, it's a canyon. Look at that canyon right there. Let's concentrate on this canyon. Look at that thing. You see that? That was made by a fault line, right? Okay, and actually, that whole canyon is a big crack, much like what the Native Americans are saying, because the spirals are ending at a crack. Okay, especially with the Nazca lines. All right, when you follow those lines, all right, that you can only see from the sky, you follow those lines and where they're going to a major canyon. They're going to a doorway. All right, they're going to these canyons, to these energy spots. All right, where these entities come and go from. Okay, and this is where we're going to find the petroglyphs at. So yeah, we have a major canyon there, like a major type fault line there that was created there. And then up here, we have some more canyons. Over here to the bottom right, we see more canyons there. See all these canyons? Okay, these are cracks from a Native American point to the underworld. All right, these are doorways to the underworld. All right, all these canyons are doorways. All right. Fremont petroglyphs, major hotspot, major place, and we're just, this is the canyon, this is the petroglyph panel, and where we're gonna take a look at some petroglyphs coming up here. But yeah, look at that. You know, Skinwalker Ranch is right there in the middle of all these doorways. You know, all these energy spots, all these energy areas with all these major petroglyph sites. Okay, so no wonder they're seeing them. And you know what? A lot of them, what they're doing, what these entities are doing, is they're coming from one energy spot of a canyon, all right, of a petroglyph site, and they're going over Skinwalker Ranch, or they're going over your valley, they're going over your town, they're going over Phoenix, and they're going to another energy spot, another mountain, all right? So when you see them in the sky and they're moving, they're on a mission, they're going straight, they're heading to another energy spot, man. All right, so you gotta follow where they're going, because they're telling you, hey, follow me, look at me, look where I'm going. Follow that sucker, dude. All right, he's gonna lead you right to his source, right to the source of where to see his buddies at, man, where to see these entities at, you know. And 9 times out of 10, you know, it's gonna be a mountain, it's gonna be an energy spot, and there's gonna be petroglyphs with spirals. So you have petroglyphs in your neighborhood. All right, you want to check out the spirals. Check out what the Native Americans say about your hometown and what it all means. So let's look at this. Let's look at this petroglyph here. This one is neat. This one is really interesting. Here, over here to the left, we can see like this orb, right? And he's got these lines that are coming down from him, okay? So this crack here, this entry point on the bottom, that is the doorway. And look at these energies over here, these energy symbols over here to the right. See those little zigzaggedy lines, all right? That's a type of energy, right? And this thing on the bottom here, like this worm, all right, that's one of those entities. That's one of those UFO entities. And you can actually see a deer, you know, looking up at this thing. You can see what looks like a man, all right, standing next to it. I mean, this is crazy. Look at that. These aren't just not graffitis, all right? This is a prehistoric photograph of what they are telling us, what they are showing that happened in this area, right? I mean, it's not just, you know, graffiti I mean, they're telling a story here. They didn't have stone boulders. They didn't have video cameras back then. They had stone boulders to record their sightings on. All right. So, and it's meant for our generation. It's meant for generation upon generation upon generation, story after story after story, letting us know for our generation what these things in the skies are today. When you start looking at the petroglyphs in this type of way, when you open up your eyes to actually what's really going on here, and you study what's going on, it really all makes sense, because when I went into this, I was going down a path that was leading me astray until I understood the petroglyphs, until I understood the history of these beings, until I understood the history of it all and what it all meant, and once you understand that, then you're going to get off that path, dude, because that's the wrong path to go. You're going to go down this other path. All right. If something doesn't make sense, then it's not credible. All right. You have to go out there and investigate things for yourself. All right. And when you do, then you're the only one that knows for sure. Don't take my word for it. Don't go taking somebody trying to sell you a book about spaceships and Little Green Man and Alpha Centauri and all this crap, man. Investigate the stuff for yourself. That's what this whole business of what I've been doing for the last 20 years is. All right. So with my book, if you can't get to the mountain on your own, I bring the mountain to you. I bring the story to you through my book, and I don't get any money from this. I mean, I told the publishers to give all my money to the foster kids in Phoenix, and so I'm not seeing any money of this. I haven't seen not one dime from my books at all, period. All right. It's not about the money. It's about getting this information out to the public. All right. And it's about looking at the Phoenix lights and the petroglyphs and these UFOs that we see in the sky, looking at it a different way. All right. Let's look at these things just in a different point of view here. All right. What if these petroglyphs are talking about these things in the sky? Okay. What if it's not just a story? It's not just a myth. What if it's real? What if it's true? All right. What if what they're telling us is what they saw back then? Okay. And once you look at it this way and that way, all right, everything will fall into place. All right. You follow the sun, you follow the spirals, you follow the seasons. All right. You go to the source, you go to the mountains. Mountains are the source with petroglyphs with spirals on it. This is a good panel here. Look at this. Look at this thing. Look at that thing right there. Look at that. Okay, see that spiral there? Look at that spiral. See, here we go. There's a doorway right there. There is a major doorway there. All right. And so these things, they like to take the shapes of like animals. All right. Now, the archaeologists like to call these shape-shifting animal-looking things anthropomorphs. They're shape-shifting. All right. They're taking the likeness of man. They're taking the likeness of a serpent. All right. They're taking a likeness of a deer. All right. And this is the reason why this thing is connected. See his tail? His tail is connected to this door. All right. Now let's study this. Let's study this petroglyph here. Let's study this spiral. All right. So this spiral is going counterclockwise. What is that telling us? That's telling us this is a doorway out. All right. This spiral is ending kind of up. All right. Now, well, kind of straight, kind of up. All right. And it's connecting with this deer. All right. So what they're trying to tell us is this entity, which is looking like an animal, is coming out of this doorway. It's coming out of this vortex, if you will, of this door from the underworld. Here we have the dots over here on the right. Look at the dots. It's going right into that spiral there. You see that? Could these be the black and white orbs that we see in the skies today? It could very well represent that. Sure, I would go along with that, right? It could be going, I mean, it is going into that door there, right? Now look at the deer over here on the left, right? See he's got these dots coming out of him? Okay, it's like a type of energy, right? And then over here on the bottom, we have like this another circular spiral. All right. And these dots, all these dots. Is that a fleet? Is that a fleet of UFOs that we're looking at here? Is this what the panel is talking about? Are these fleets going into these doorways? And look at this thing over here on the bottom. Look at that circle with the legs. I mean, it's like, this is what they're talking about, man. It's not spaceships. It's not crafts. These things are alive. It's another life form. All right. Just as the oceanographers are finding new species of life below the ocean, this is a new species of life above the ocean. I'm going to give you a little secret here. I'm going to give you a secret. All right. And studying them and watching them and understanding these things, man, they are not from another world. This is their world. They're not from outer space. They're from inner space. This is their planet also. The Native Americans been telling us all these years, man. All right, that the spirits are here, bro. The spirits are up there on the mountains, man. That's exactly what is going on. Okay? And they're not from another planet. This is their home. This is their world too. They've always been here. They were here before man. Chances are they'll be here after man. I don't know. That is another story. You can look into my theories on some of my other past shows on what all of this crazy stuff means and stuff like that. But those are on other shows. Right now we're talking about the Skinwalker Ranch, the petroglyphs that are around the Skinwalker Ranch, and look at this. Look at this one here. This one's great. See these circles there? See those circles? Look at that. Those things are cool. And look at those deers over here. Look at this crack. See that crack there? And you see those deers are looking at that crack? Okay? Looking up this thing. It looks like an E. That is one of those creatures. That is what we're seeing in the sky. That is one of those UFOs. All right? And those deers, or those animals, are looking up at it. Look at these round-looking things, okay? So these are more like shields, okay? These are more like shields, all right? And that circle there with the two legs, it's like an orb. And then over here to the right, we see another entity, and this dog is looking at it, okay? So it's like half sheep or something, right, with no legs, right? It's talking about what we're seeing in the skies today. Look at this petroglyph here. This one's really cool. On the right of it, we have like these orbs, right? And it's got these lines. Now, a lot of people, mistake these things. They see these things in the sky, and they automatically assume that they're looking at balloons, all right? But when you actually study it, it's not balloons at all, but they're shape-shifting, they're morphing, they're changing shape, and the line coming down from them isn't strings at all. You can go back and look at some of my past shows. But here we have these orbs, right? And it looks like it's got these lines coming from it. You see there in the middle, these orbs? All right. So, why would the Native Americans be carving balloons? I mean, you really got to ask yourself that. Why are they carving balloons on rocks when balloons wasn't even around back in their day? So what is the meaning to all that? So it's not balloons, it's not a string, it's a line, and you can go in my past shows and find out what these lines actually do. All right, so, and they're orbs there, and it's got this type of, to the left of it, it's growing this creature. All right, and it's got these tentacles, these things coming up from its head, and it's got these things coming down from the bottom of it. Now, I've witnessed this type of entity in the sky before. It came out of a light, and out forth become that light, this black serpent looking thing. It looked like Quetzalcoatl, the Mexican Quetzalcoatl. It looked like Quetzalcoatl, and it shape-shifted. These things change the shape. They change form. That's what the Indians are telling us, man. They're shape-shifters, right? They're shape-shifting, dude. They're changing into the likeness of man and serpents and all these crazy-looking, type demon-type creatures. And that's exactly what this thing is doing in that petroglyph. Oh, God. And because we are live, you never know what is going to happen. Anything and everything will happen. Okay, and we're back. Okay. Don't you love that? Don't you love live videos, man? Okay, here we go. Here's another petroglyph. This one's really cool, too. Look at this one. This one's awesome. All right, so it's got this spiral. All right, and it could be talking about that hole there. You see that hole? See that hole right there on the bottom right? It really could be talking about that spiral over here to the left. It could be talking about that hole. Okay, so, and look at it. What is it doing? The spiral is going clockwise, right? And it's going up, dude, right? And then it's making a sharp right, and it's like kind of, it's going into this crack over here. But then it kind of, if you look at it more, it kind of does look like it's going down into that hole. There is a line that is kind of connecting with that hole there. So yeah, I believe that hole right there has a lot to do with what, the petroglyph is talking about. All right, because it's an entrance point. It's a doorway into the stone, into the fault line. Okay, and we're going to show you a UFO entity video that actually goes inside the mountain, and I'm going to show you exactly what they're talking about. Here's another one. Okay, now look at this one. See the spiral? Spiral is going clockwise, right? All right. And there's this being that's touching it. He's coming out of the spiral. He's coming out of the doorway. See that? It's one of those entities. He's morphing. He's changing the shape, all right? He's looking like a man, a human. Because that's what some of the Native American interpretations are, especially here in Phoenix, Arizona. Because we have a lot of stick figure men with tails, and these dots, right, in the belly. I've already talked about this in past shows, but a little bit of refresher course, right? So we have the stick figure man, and he's got a dot in the middle of his belly, right? All right, now some interpretations of that is he's halfway into the underworld and halfway into our world, all right? So he's coming out from the doorway, all right? But that's what the circular dot means, all right? But actually watching these things and actually studying these things, I believe that the dot in the middle of his stomach is the orb that we're seeing in the skies today, all right? Is the light, is the Phoenix light, okay? And it's morphing, it's changing shape. All right, it's growing arms, it's growing legs, and it's not a tail that's coming down like a lot of people think, oh, it's a lizard man, because that's what they're saying, it's a lizard man, but it's actually not a tail, okay? That is a type of, it's like a tube or a, how do I describe it? Like a line. I don't know. I've seen them. I've seen these lines. I've seen these two orbs, all right, in the sky together, and these lines, all right, connect themselves together to make a barbell. All right, it looks like a barbell, right? And I believe with that line is used for two different purposes that I found on the petroglyphs. One, to pick things up, such as cows and animals and people. I've seen these petroglyphs with these lines, all right, picking people up and taking them off into the sky. And another reason I believe when they're joining together, I think they're like absorbing each other's energy. I think they're sharing energy, or they're joining together to look like a barbel in the sky. So that's what these lines are for. All right, so when you see a circle with a line, the Indians aren't talking about balloons, dude. They're talking about the orb they're seeing in the sky with this line that's coming down from them. All right, and sometimes that line will just go on forever. Depending on how high that orb is, there's a line that will just come down forever. I've seen these things, man. It's crazy, right? They just come right out of these orbs, dude, and it's weird. So yeah, and that's what I think that these lines are for. Okay, so that's one of the interpretations out here in Phoenix is the lizard people came up out of the sand world. All right, so these orbs, these Phoenix lights, these entities came up out from the underworld, out from the vortex door, out from the fault lines. All right, and it taught the Native Americans how to survive in Phoenix, Arizona. Back in the day. The Hohokams. So we'll talk about that later in another show. Look at this glyph here that's located near Skinwalker Ranch. Okay, here we have another orb. It's an orb. It's flashing. Right? We have all these animals, these anthropomorphs. Okay, we have this huge worm. These worms in the sky. A lot of people have seen this and filmed this. I filmed this many times. It's like a serpent. All right, and it's in the sky. All right, and I filmed this. I filmed these things many times, especially Easter Sunday. When you go on my some of my YouTube videos, Easter Sunday, I think it was 2000. What was that? 2005, 2006? I can't remember. But this white line entity, this serpent, this white serpent, was up there in the sky, and I filmed it. It looks exactly like this thing. It was changing shapes. Sometimes it looked like an arrow. Sometimes it looked like a straight line. I mean, it was crazy. And that's what these things are talking about. It's like a type of worm, right? Now, this one is very interesting. Look at this one here. This one is cool here, right? So we have the spirals there in the middle. Now this is a doorway out, okay, and it's ending up. So when the spiral ends down, sometimes it'll go. It'll end in a crack. Okay, there'll be a crack in the stone, where the doorway is. The Native Americans say, well, that crack is the doorway to the underworld. If there's no crack there, then it's the ground. All right, on where the boulder that's been carved on is sitting at. It's the whole area there. These things come up out of the ground. They come up out of the sand world. Okay? And if the doorway ends up, then we're talking about a vortex in the sky. All right, when these lights just magically appear in the sky. Well, there's an energy door up there. If there was a marker on the ground, it would be a spiral pointing up. Much like what this spiral is doing here in the middle of your screen here, right? It's stopping. It's stopping up, right? So that's telling me that there's a doorway in the sky, and these entities, these creatures, are coming out of this doorway in the sky. So basically, what we're looking at, this panel here, this panel is depicting the sky, and all these creatures, all these things are in the sky. Now look at this thing over here on the top. It looks like a serpent. It looks like a snake. You see that? So it's two different doorways, man. All right? It's a doorway in and a doorway out. Okay? So that's very significant. All right? So they're coming in and they're coming out right up there in the sky. And it's oriented. Look at that. It is oriented high. You were meant to be looking up at it at its high, because it's carved higher than the rest of the petroglyphs, which means it's in the sky. All right, this is another way how to understand these petroglyphs. Is you're supposed to interpret the whole landscape in with the art. Just don't look at the art, but include the landscape in with it. All right, especially if you have to look up. If you're looking up, all right, then the artist is telling you, this is where the occurrence happened at. It happened in the sky. This is the reason why I'm carving it so high up in the sky. This is why these petroglyphs are high up on canyon walls, is because that's where the event took place at, is in the sky. So we're looking at these spirals here, and we're looking at these things here. It's major doorways here. All right, we have these dots here. Okay, is that a fleet? Could be. Is all these dots here? Is that these entities? Are these the orbs and the lights that we're seeing in the skies today? It could be. Is this a fleet that we're seeing? It could be. Look at these spirals here. Okay, the spiral going in and going out, and another spiral here. And then look at the ones with it looks like a sun, right? So it's bright. It's bright. They're flickering. They're lights in the sky. Okay, they're lights in the sky. Look at those things. Look at the ones with the lightning, with the light beams coming out of them. Just like what we're filming in the sky, man. We're seeing these lights in the sky. And this is what this artist is trying to tell us, man. He's seeing lights also. He's recording what he is seeing there. Okay, now look at this entity in the middle, right? So it's connected to these lights, all right? And this deer is in the middle. All right, the deer is in the middle. All right, so he's kind of floating in the sky. All right, so this being here is taking this entity, this entity is taking this deer up into the sky. You see that? Are you following me here? Now that's something. That is something. That is a major UFO sighting there. And it's telling us about the doorways. It's telling us about the lights. It's telling us about the fleets. Okay, it's telling us what these things do. They're shape-shifting, right? They're looking like creatures, man. All right, they're looking like demonic creatures, if you will. I don't know, but that's exactly what this Native American saw, and that's exactly what he carved on the rock. It's a testimony. It's a prehistoric photograph. Right? It's not just some Indian on peyote dude. No, man, he's carving this for a reason. He's telling me and you, look, dude, you're seeing them, and I saw them too over 1,000 years ago. And this is the only way I'm able to bring my sighting to you, is to carve it on the rocks, dude. Because that's the only thing I have. I don't have a camera, all right? I don't have a video camera. Technology hasn't hit me yet. I'm still back in the Stone Age, but yet I'm carving these things that I'm seeing in the skies in the locations on where the events took place at. It's a prehistoric photograph testimony. It's a testimony on what he saw in that area. This is the reason why we see petroglyphs on one side of the mountain, but we see no petroglyphs on the other side of the mountain. It's because nothing happened over there. The event took place where the petroglyphs can be found at. Look at this one here. Now, I believe this one, all right, this kind of reminds me of Kachinas. Okay, so they're reenactments, all right? These Kachinas, they're reenacting in their dances and in their, attire, their dress, their costumes. They're dressing up as these entities that they were seeing in the sky. And I really think that this right here, what we're seeing here, are Kachinas. And we can see a lot of Kachinas that look exactly like, this petroglyph here. I don't see any spirals. I don't see anything here to suggest that, it looks like, look, it's hunting over here to the left. This guy's shooting this deer, right? And the Kachinas, they are sacrificing this deer to these Kachinas. That's the interpretation that I'm getting from this panel here. So not all petroglyphs, not all mountains, are sacred. Only the mountains with spirals carved on them. The spirals and the anthropomorphs, these shape-shifting looking things, the flying serpents, all right? Those are the mountains that are sacred. Those are the mountains that are holy, Okay, those are the source. Those are the key places to watch for these lights, for these entities in the sky. Are these mountains with the fault lines, with the spirals? Now, these other mountains depict, just like what we saw there, like kachinas, ceremonies, all right? Things like that, all right? So they're performing ceremonies on this mountain, okay? It's not so much as it's holy, but, all the Native Americans, they think everything is sacred. Life is sacred. The air is sacred. The rock is sacred. Everything is sacred. But what is most important is what is holy. And these holy mountains, all right, with the spirals that are carved on it, that is what you want to look for. So when you start looking for UFOs, you want to hit the source. Find out the history on your town. See what the Native Americans say about it. Find out where the petroglyphs are. Find out where the spirals are. Once you do, find out the seasons. Look for the light and shadow markers. All right, these rocks that are oriented towards the east and towards the west, with the spirals that are carved on them, with these rocks on top. And during the equinox and the solstice, the sun will align with these rocks on the top that will cast a shadow. Through these spirals, representing the changing of the seasons. All right, so the archaeologist wants us to believe, the changing of the seasons is telling the Native Americans that it's time to plant corn. No, that has nothing to do with planting corn. It has everything to do with the sun being in the right position of the fault lines to see the spirits. Everything that you see when it comes to aligning with the equinox and the solstice and things like that, like Stonehenge and all these other tombs that are aligned with the equinox sunrise and the equinox summer sunrise and the sunset and all that stuff, man. It has everything to do with these spirits of the earth and sky, of these UFOs that we see in the skies today. Don't let these archaeologists tell you, it's just time to plant corn, man. We got to go plant that corn. We got to go get that water, man. And got to go get them seeds, dude, because it's the changing of the seasons. No, man, that's nothing to do with that shit, dude. It's what these things in the sky. It has everything is oriented. Everything is oriented with the stars, with the planets, with the sun, with the equinox, with the fault lines, with the earth. That's what is going on here. Here we go. Now this entity here, look at that. See, a lot of people would think that would be a whale. But I filmed the exact same thing. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. See, I filmed the exact same thing from South Mountain. I filmed this in February, I believe, of 2006. This is a UFO. I filmed this UFO over there by South Mountain in 2006. Look at that. This is the reason why I call my research Petroglyphs in the Sky. Because that is what we're seeing in the skies today. We are seeing petroglyphs in the sky. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about here. All right. Now, this petroglyph is carved out there next to Skinwalker Ranch in that canyon. All right. This UFO was filmed in Phoenix. The exact same type of thing on what they're talking about. In the beginning of my show, I show this. I show the UFO sighting. When you watch the beginning of my show, you can see the sighting on when this entity comes over. I start filming it. This is what we're talking about. We are talking about petroglyphs in the sky. Here's another one. Look at this one. This one is cool, okay? That is really neat. Look at that. Okay, so we have this spiral right here in the middle. Let's do the middle. Yeah, that's a doorway. That's a spiral. So, what is going on here? To understand this petroglyph, first of all, we're going to deal with the spiral, right? That is the door. This is in the sky, okay? And where does the spiral end? Let's look. Let's see if we can zoom in a little further. Take a look at it. So it's hard to tell, but it looks like the spiral is ending up. So it's a vortex in the sky, right? It's a doorway in the sky, and it's lighting up. This is the reason why we see the sun rays that are coming around it. You see that? So it's telling us that it's bright. It's a bright light in the sky. This doorway opened up, and it's a bright light in the sky. And out come forth these entities out from this doorway in the sky. These things are coming out of the light. It is coming out of the doorway. It is coming out of the vortex, all right, that is in the sky above the fault line. All right? That's exactly what these things are describing. That's exactly what these things are depicting. It's telling us that these things, because look, it's connected. They're touching it, right? That's how we know. That's how we know that the spiral, the vortex, the doorway is connected with these beings because they're touching it. They're coming out of the door, dude. They're coming out of the light. I have seen this. Me and my wife Pam has witnesses. I just talked about this. We saw this light in the sky, and all of a sudden this snake came out of the light. Quetzalcoatl came out of the light in the sky. From there, he shapeshifted into the likeness of a man, into a petroglyph carving. Absolutely. It's exactly what that petroglyph is talking about. Now, this one over here, a lot of people, you see this, and a lot of people think, like last Christmas, they're saying, dude, it's Santa Claus. It's Santa Claus. That proves Santa Claus was here. No, man, the Indians aren't going to be talking about Santa Claus. They don't care about Santa Claus, dude. Okay, this is not Santa Claus. Okay, and where this here's that other petroglyph on South Mountain. Sorry, I forgot to show you that. But that was on South Mountain in Phoenix. That last sighting that we just saw, and you can see the whale. You can see the exact same type of petroglyph of that whale that I filmed in the sky, and also carved on the outskirts of Skinwalker Ranch. Now see this doorway? See that spiral there? He's coming out of the doorway there, right? So yeah, that is carved on South Mountain in Phoenix, Arizona, and I filmed the exact same entity. So let's talk about Santa Claus here. Right, so this is not Santa Claus, all right? And this thing is carved high. And what did we talk about earlier? If it's high up, if the carving is high up on a rock, then the Native American, they want you to look up high because that is where the event took place at. This is where they saw it at, all right? So the Santa, quote-unquote, petroglyph location is located high up on that rock there. How did they get up there? That's crazy. I have no idea. But that's where this petroglyph can be found at. High up on top of this cliff. Okay? And let's look at it here. Let's examine this. Right? So there's the mountain peak. Right? That little peak that's coming out on top, right? That's the peak over here on the top there, right? And it's going on to the bottom. And then look at one of the things that you can understand on these anthropomorphs, they're shape-shifting, okay, is look at the legs, look at the feet. Examine the feet here for a minute. Look how they're backwards. See that? Now some are forward. Those are regular sheep. All right? But these other ones, they're reenactment. They're acting like, they're mimicking what they're seeing. So they're trying to look like a sheep. All right? These entities are shape-shifting into the likeness of these sheep that we're seeing on the mountains up there. And then look above there. See those two dots? See those two orbs right there? See those orbs? Look at that. It's right above the sheep's And you can tell that these are regular sheeps because of the feet. And then we have this entity over here to the left. And that's located high up on that mountain there. Isn't that crazy? Now, were the dinosaurs with man? I believe so. I believe so. I believe that's what we're looking at here. This is to me, this is a dinosaur. All right? And there's some people down there on the bottom, it looks like. And, you know, Utah, that's where Skinwalker Ranch is. Utah has major dinosaur fossil bones there, you know? So, yeah, you know, and so how do they know? How do the Native Americans know to carve dinosaurs unless, you know, they saw them, okay? Unless they saw them in real life. There's no way that they could just come up, you know, and make believe this dinosaur if they haven't actually seen it. They couldn't carve it unless they actually seen it. And that's what this petroglyph is depicting. It is depicting a dinosaur. You know, up there on South Mountain, I saw this petroglyph on the east side of South Mountain, and this holocom is shooting at a dinosaur. It's clearly a dinosaur. And about 15 years ago, the construction workers out there on the east side of the valley of Phoenix and Mesa was making a new apartment complex, and they had to stop. They had to stop and call in the archaeologists because they found dinosaur bones right there in the alignment of where this petroglyph panel was depicting on South Mountain, on the east side of South Mountain. Was it the same dinosaur that was carved on the rocks? Who knows? We'll probably never know. But is it a coincidence that the same carving is aligned with the dinosaur bones that they found over here on the east side? That is the question. Make sure if you like what you're seeing, to subscribe to my channel, Petroglyphs in the Sky. Find me on YouTube, Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky. Check out my Facebook page right here. Facebook, Jeff Woolwine, Petroglyphs in the Sky. Search my name on the internet, man. I'm all over the place. And make sure you like and subscribe. And, you know, without you guys watching and sending me all these letters on how you like the show and giving me questions and all this and UFO sightings, man, I couldn't do this without you. So thank you so much. It has everything to do with you guys. Let's get this information out. Let's spread the word. So thank you all. Make sure you like and subscribe. Okay, so let's talk about this this panel here before we run out of time. Yeah, I'm getting way out of time here. So here we go again. Here we have the fleet, okay? And look at that. Look at those entities. Look at these. Look at the animals. They're looking up. They're looking up at these things that they're seeing in the skies. This is all over there on Skinwalker Ranch, okay? It has everything to do with the fault lines, with the energy. This is the reason why Skinwalker Ranch is seeing UFOs in the sky. It's because there's a major fault line there. There's a major energy source there, all right? And they're only going to see them during certain times of the seasons, only certain times of the year, all right? So make sure you remember all that. Let's look at this last panel here because I'm really going way over time here. Here we go again. See, look at this. I believe that these are Kachinas. Isn't that neat? That is some crazy. And it even looks like they've got some paint there. Okay, so let's take a quick break, and then I'll show you this tube-looking UFO, and then I'll show you the UFO coming and going out of South Mountain before we run out of time. So let's take this quick break real quick, and we'll come back to you.
Have you picked up your Phoenix Lights Petroglyphs in the Sky, True Stories, Myths, Legends, and UFOs over Phoenix, Volume 1? Learn about the lost history of Phoenix, Arizona. Learn about the petroglyphs carved on a sacred mountain, now known as South Mountain, that holds the path to the Phoenix Lights and the UFOs over Phoenix. Pick up your copy today. Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky, True Stories, Myths, Legends, and UFOs over Phoenix, Volume 1. Find it on eBay, Barnes & Noble, and any source where books are available at.
You are watching the Petroglyphs in the Sky Ultimate UFO Show. Follow Jeff Woolwine as he explores Native American rock art that shows UFOs has visited Earth long ago. Check out the Petroglyphs in the Sky Ultimate UFO Show. Tell your friends.
A Valley landmark could be the key to deciphering mysteries in the sky.
South Mountain has been a chalkboard of UFO sightings and reports for thousands of years.
All right, 10 years ago, the Phoenix Lights captured world attention, of course, and opinions are still varied. Just put that down right there. Are still varied on what exactly they were, but a number of people believe that the objects seen in the sky that night have been with us for centuries. Beverly shows us records that some of Arizona's earliest residents left behind.
These UFOs are out here, man, and I want to find them.
Perhaps no one spends as much time on skyward mysteries as Jeff Woolwine.
But when these lights come on, it's like somebody with a switch on a wall. Boop! Here we are.
The Phoenix man has hours and hours of videotaped airborne objects. He's convinced they're connected in some way to South Mountain.
South Mountain has been a chalkboard of UFO sightings and reports for thousands of years. When you look at these petroglyphs, you have to look at the whole landscape.
Woolwine takes people on tours of the petroglyphs here, pointing out rock etchings that he says look like things he's videotaped in the sky. And Jeremy Fox believes
there's definitely certain shapes on these rocks that look similar to UFOs. I think we're in a very important spot in the UFO world.
Jeff Woolwine, the first person to do this. Jeff, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Woolwine's passion gets him noticed. He's been interviewed dozens of times. The Cutting Edge TV show tapes in Tucson and airs in 10 cities around the country. Host Jim Rogers says,
I think he's as honest as the day is long.
He describes his guests as top-notch, credible, and says Woolwine is one of the good guys.
He's giving DVDs away to people to open their hearts and minds to this stuff. His heart is in this. He's not in this for profit.
Woolwine's tours are free too, and you're free to believe or not.
Whether you believe in UFOs or not, there is something here. And they were here a long time ago. And their sightings is recorded on the mountain.
Okay, so let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this UFO entity. Okay. Let's take a look at this UFO entity that actually goes inside the mountain. All right. And then it comes out of the mountain and then it goes back into the sky. So let's look at this right here. Now, I'm filming this. I'm about a mile away from South Mountain. Okay. So, and I'm zoomed in. And I watch this thing come down on the mountain. All right. See how it's just slowly coming down. All right. It's on a mission. It's going someplace. You can see the trees in the background. There's no wind blowing. There's nothing. And then all of a sudden it disappears. You see that? It just vanishes. It goes in the mountain. Now, here it comes. Here it comes out of the mountain. You see that there? This thing came out of the sky, went in the doorway of the mountain. Now it came out. Oh, now it went back into the mountain. Look at that. Now it's coming back out. Now it's going back down. It's coming in and out of the doorways of the mountains there. And there's spirals out there. There's spirals exactly where these things are coming and going from out here. There are spirals out there on that hill. I've been out there many, many, many times. I kept the film going. I kept filming because, oh, there it comes. Here it comes again. Look at that. See that? It just came out of the mountain. And now it's going back up. Look at that. Now it's going back up. Now you can see, we're running out of time here, but you can see the rest of that video. I'll post it on my Facebook page and also my YouTube channel because we're running out of time here. So let's get into this one tube-looking, cylinder-looking thing, and it's not a craft. Okay, these things are. It's not a spaceship. Okay, these things are alive. Look at this thing. Look at that thing. I'm not exactly sure on where this was filmed at. Here's some still photographs. Is that crazy or what? Look at this thing. This is not a spaceship. Okay? This thing is alive. This is what the petroglyphs are depicting here. These things are alive. They're shape shifting. Okay, they're changing and they're changing shapes here. On the left side is the slow motion. In the middle, I'm showing how it's regularly how it was normally filmed. And I'm showing exactly what this thing is doing. Is that crazy or what? Is that something? That is so cool. That thing is really, really cool. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because I thought it was really neat. And if you guys have any UFO sightings or petroglyphs that you want me to take a look at, please send them to me on my Facebook page. Find me on Jeff Woolwine, Petroglyphs in the Sky. And you can like and subscribe to my channel, please. I really appreciate all your support. And if it wasn't for viewers like you, all my work would not be possible. So thank you all for watching the show. And thank you all for subscribing and sharing it. And if you have any UFO videos or anything that you want to share with me, send it to me. And if I like it, I'll put it on the show. So thanks again for watching. And make sure you like and subscribe. And we will see you guys next time. Take care.
until the next exciting episode, keep your eyes in the skies. You never know what you might see.